Javier Cortes. Punishment for children are usually grounding or taking away some of their favorite things that they enjoy. To an average child, the punishment is equal to the wrong they committed, or in my case, whatever my father thought at the time would be the most effective for the sake of teaching me a lesson and satisfying his anger for whatever I did wrong. A teenager that is told to be back home at a certain time by their parents clearly knows what could possibly be in store for them upon arriving home late. That child knows that if they disobey the rules set for them, there will be consequences to pay. If the child misses curfew, he or she may be given the punishment of grounding for a week or two, or again, whatever the parents wants to put the child through at that very moment. Sometimes I wish there was set guidelines for my parents had to follow as far as giving me punishments. Usually the punishments fit the wrong the child committed, even though we might have thought it was cruel and unusual punishment. When the wrong turns into an actual crime, legal matters are put in place and justice must be served. But at what degree? Juveniles that commit major crimes, normally thought to be adult crimes such as murder, can cause controversy and how severe the punishment should be. The mental capability of a child is not always at the level of an adult. Yet those who can premeditate a gruesome attack that ends in murder should sustain the highest level of punishment allowed by law. Capital punishment is the highest level of punishment that can be given as a sentence. Cases throughout history have changed the justice system pertaining to this subject. The case of Roper versus Simmons, 2004, is an example of determining what is the proper age to distribute a sentence of capital punishment to a juvenile. The crime occurred in Missouri in 1993. Let me set the stage here for you for this horrific event that occurred that evening that changed the history of law. Ordinary kids at the age of 17 were discussing sports, girls, and what parties they were going to attend to for the weekend. But these three individuals had a completely different conversation among them. The case involves a minor, Christopher Simmons, who at the time was 17, and two other friends, Tesmer and Benjamin, who plotted out a plan to enter the home of Shirley Crook, murder her, and dispose of her body off of a bridge. Most kids are deciding if sneaking out of their house to meet to play basketball would be worth the trouble they would get into if they got caught. But not these three individuals. They were planning on engaging in activities that no one would think to be involved in at their age. In the middle of the night, the three of them met, where Tesmer came to his senses and backed out. But the other two continued with the plan. Tesmer obviously was smarter than the one in the group. He probably realized how ridiculous the plan was and maybe tried talking them out of it, to no other avail. The detailed plan on breaking and entering, tying her up, and brutally murdering her showed premeditation. Therefore, first-degree murder was one of the many charges given to Simmons. He sustained a short trial, ending in a guilty verdict on charges and sentenced to death. Simmons confessed to the murder. Testimony from Tesmer, who testified against him, proving premeditation, and even a video of a reenactment of the crime was enough evidence to send Simmons to death row. The case was pretty cut and dry as far as determining a guilty plea. But the decision of life in prison versus the death penalty was still the determining factor of the case. This decision was based on a previous case, Stanford versus Kentucky, 1989, in which it was found that it was not a violation of the Eighth Amendment to sentence a minor between the age of 16 and 17 to capital punishment. The Constitution containing the Eighth Amendment provides protection against punishments that are considered cruel and unusual. Simmons appealed his case to his status as a minor, troubled childhood, unfit counsel, and simply that he was too immature with impulse behavior to know what he was doing. He tried to pull out all the shots to avoid the sentence of death, which I think anyone would try to do. He believed that since he was a minor child and below the age of an adult, he did not deserve the sentence to death despite the crime that he had committed. Through every appeal and moving up the court system, the sentence of death still maintained until he caught a break. With the use of the Supreme Court case in 2002, Atkins versus Virginia, which overturned the death penalty for the intellectual disabled. He was able to prove that it was in fact a violation of the Eighth Amendment to sentence a minor to death. In March 2005, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The case of Roper versus Simmons 2002 had a huge impact on the justice system. After the case was finally decided and overturned, many other cases were reviewed, which led to a total of 72 minors avoiding the death penalty. The greatest number of cases were in Texas, where 29 juveniles were sitting on death row and now serving life in prison. In Alabama, 14 minors under the age of 18, when they committed their crimes, evaded death sentence. Although this case came too late for 22 juveniles that endured execution since 1976, 13 alone in the state of Texas. It has made historical differences in the way cases are being decided when juveniles are involved in felony crimes.